Hi guys, and welcome to lesson 3.4, multiply integers. Make sure you have the following notes in front of you. Our essential question is, what happens when you multiply integers? So there's going to be two instances. We're either going to be multiplying integers with different signs or multiplying integers with the same sign. Now, adding and subtracting have their own rules where we have to look at absolute value and then we do the keep, flip, change. Multiplying and dividing go together and they have a separate set of rules to use for when deciding on the sign. So when multiplying integers with different signs, the product of two integers with different signs is negative. So when the signs are different, you're going to have a negative for your answer. So for example, positive times a negative is going to give you a negative, or if you have a negative times a positive, that's going to also give you a negative. So this is the rule for multiplying two integers. When we get into multiplying three integers, four integers, this rule is going to change a little bit different. There's going to be a pattern that you will see. So our steps for multiplying integers is first we should decide on the sign. And then all we have to do is multiply. So looking at example 4 times negative 3, the signs are different, so I know right off the bat my answer is going to be negative, and then I just multiply 4 times 3, and that gives me 12. So just a little something to remember is remember that multiplication is the same as repeated addition. So when we have 4 times negative 3 like this, what that means is that it's negative 3 4 times. So what we're actually doing is we are taking negative 3, adding it again to itself, adding it again to itself, adding it again to itself. So we have a negative 3 plus negative 3 plus negative 3 plus negative 3, oops, negative sign, which gives us a negative 12, which is the same as 4 times negative 3. So down to the examples, example 1, it says find 3 times negative 5. So first I decide on the sign. My signs are different, so it's negative, and 3 times 5 is 15. And then we have find negative 6 times 8. Again, signs are different, so I'm going to keep the sign, or the sign's going to be negative, and then 6 times 8 is 48. Flip the page and make sure you have the following notes in front of you. Okay, so we already talked about how when you multiply integers with different signs, your answer is going to be negative. Now, when we multiply integers with the same sign, something else is going to happen. So the product of two integers with the same sign is positive. Sorry. So what that means is if we have a positive times a positive, of course that's going to result in a positive. But now when we have a negative times a negative, that's also going to result in a positive. So the following examples show you a positive 2 times a positive 6 gives you a positive 12. And then when we have two negatives here, a negative 10 times a negative 6 gives you that positive 60. So let's go ahead and check out the following examples. Number 3 says find negative 11 times a negative 9. The signs are the same, so that results in a positive, and then we just multiply 11 times 9 is 99. Number 4 says find negative 4 to the second power, and what we talked about in class today is when you move a number to the second power, what this means is negative 4 times negative 4. So again, we're multiplying, the signs are the same. You're going to result in a positive 16. Now, this one right here, number 5, just because they're all negatives doesn't mean that our answer is going to be a positive. The rule with the signs being the same, if you look back at the definition, it says the product of two integers with the same sign is going to be positive. When we start incorporating more integers, that's going to change. So with this one, if I went step by step, we have -3 times a -4, so yes, that would give us a positive 12, but then we're multiplying that by a -2. So we have 12 times -2. Now the signs are different, so that is going to result in a -24. So a pattern, when we did the stop and reflect problem, we discovered that there's a pattern. If there is an odd number of negatives, your answer is going to be negative. But if there is an even number of negatives, your answer is going to be positive. Example 6. A submersible is diving from the surface of the water at a rate of 90 feet per minute. What is the depth of the submersible after 7 minutes? Okay, so again, with word problems, we're looking for those key words and phrases that tell us what operation we're going to use, those important numbers we need to pull out. So it's important the submersible is diving from the surface of the water at a rate of 90 feet per minute. So an integer I could use to represent that, it's going to be going -90 feet per minute. And we want to know what's the depth after 7 minutes. So to figure this out, all I do is I take its rate per minute and multiply it by 7 minutes. Looking at my signs are different, so my answer is going to be negative. And then 90 times 7, 9 times 7 is 63. Add that 0. So the submersible would be at -630 feet. Or another way to write this is 630 feet below sea level. Go ahead and complete the Got It problems A through E if you did not do them in class. We will go over these tomorrow.